Buddy. Welcome to today's Transfer Express webinar. My name is Andy Curtis. I am the training coordinator here at Transfer Express, and if you have joined me before, then you know we like to bring these little tidbits to you every so often. My screen just did something weird. Sorry, folks. There we go. Sorry about that. We like to bring these educational topics to you once a month, and Happy New Year, first and foremost, I guess, since I haven't joined you guys since before the holidays last month. Happy New Year, and I hope everyone had a safe and happy beginning to January here. We are going to start the year off with growing your custom printing business in 2015, and we're going to do so by talking about some tips, some tricks, some trends, stuff that's new for 2015, things you might not have thought about before. We have a lot of really interesting information. I love all the webinars we do for you guys, of course, but this one's going to be neat. I like the content to this one a lot, and hopefully what I'm going to do here is drive a bunch of new ideas your guys' way and see what you can do with the information I present to you, see what kind of tidbits you can glean from it. We got a little bit of something for everybody today. So just a couple housekeeping things. If you have joined me before, then you know that I have a helper behind the curtain. There is somebody watching the text box, the chat box there, who is going to be answering questions for you. Now, when you do type a question in the box, I see your note pop up. I can't always read them very clearly, or I'm in the middle of a thought. So if I can't get to answering your question here verbally, my helper behind the curtain will answer back in the chat box. So do not be afraid to interact or ask questions. That's one of those fun things about this particular any meeting program. So, But aside from that, if you are looking for a copy, like a recording, it will be at transferexpress.com afterwards. It will be viewable under the educational videos section of transferexpress.com. And you can ask for a PDF of the slides, of course, as well, because there's going to be a lot of really interesting information. And if I were one of you guys out there in listing land, I would probably want a copy of the slides as well. So that being said, we are going to get into growing your custom business in 2015. So there are a lot of neat things going on in our world, and that's, if you've joined me before, you've heard me say that I love this industry because it is constantly changing. It's constantly updating. There's always something new. There's always something fresh, and it's neat. There's no stagnant feeling to our industry. That's for sure. It's constantly updating. So that being said, in 2015, there's going to be a lot of interesting opportunities. Before I go on to explain the slide, I also want to throw out, if you haven't had a chance to see it yet, we have, of course, our leader, Ted Stahl, who puts out his yearly predictions. And Ted did just publish his predictions for 2015 at his website, www.tedstahl.com. And some really interesting predictions for 2015. Ted's always got some really neat insights. So make sure, if you're looking for some ideas what's going to be hot this year, not only our webinar here, but also go check out Ted's blog and check out his predictions for 2015. Definitely worth the read, I promise. But that being said, we're going to take a look at some of the trends in 2015 and how you can make them work for you. Advertising and media is encouraging and recognizing groups who unite, and a great way is with custom apparel. Obviously, there's been a lot of things in the news lately for one topic or another, sports or unrelated sports things, and if you are putting out the shirts that unite people as a group, that gets you front and center. Plus, one of the things you're going to discover, I believe, in 2015 especially, is that you're going to find that we as the decorators and we as the people making the shirts need to be aware of current events and need to take advantage of marketing current events. There are shirts that, based on trends of the moment, could be super popular, and we need to get into the habit of jumping on them. We have people, obviously some of our peers in the industry are already very good at that. I think more of us can definitely be on that bandwagon, and we're going to talk about some of that stuff as we go today. So, as always, please feel free to type your notes into the chat box there as we go. But without further ado, the whole point here is we're going to show you how to capitalize on these trends, these things going on in 2015, and all you're going to need is a heat press. Okay. And before I do move on, obviously the whole point to this, the whole reason to talk about these trends, to talk about what's popular, is because this is what gives you an edge on your competition. If you know what's hip, if you know what is fresh, what people want, if you know what's on the verge of becoming the next big thing, that gives you a lot of edge over your competition. So being informed, being educated is one of the best tools you can possibly have in our industry. So that's the whole point of going over all this. So let's go ahead and jump in here. This is actually, you've heard me talk about this, and this is not a brand spanking new trend, but it's something that we see still growing. And it's funny because I maybe it's because I'm a guy. I didn't necessarily see the draw to these, but all of the girls in our customer service department, and I'm not teasing you about, all of the girls in our customer service department own at least one of these shirts. It started probably towards the end of the last quarter of 2014, maybe the middle of the last quarter, something like that, is when it really started to get some attention. But they're called Billboard shirts. They have a couple different names out there. I'm sure if I asked you guys what you call them, I'm sure I'd get 6 or 7 different answers right now off the bat. But what we've been calling them and what our sales staff has called them is Billboard shirts. They are fantastic for spirit wear. You'll notice right off the bat that the shirt itself looks a little weird, right? The seams aren't where they're supposed to be. Normally you'd have some kind of shoulder seam, but the shirt's not made that way. These Billboard shirts, they're made with a seam that's across horizontally the back. Like you can clearly see it on the pink one there in the bottom left corner, the Tigers football. You can clearly see the seam along the back there. The whole point of putting a seam there is because without the seams on the shoulders, you can print all the way across the shoulders of these shirts. Now, some people get insane with these and they'll go down the arms even. What we're talking about here is just keeping it a little more on the simple side, so it's easier for you to heat press these. But pressing across the shoulders like that is a great way for teams to get their names out there, for different organizations, for schools and all that. I think it's one of those trends that it's just new, it's hip, it's different. Who knows how long it's going to last, but the idea is to definitely get on top of it while people are still into it. We have several layouts that we've made here at Transfer Express for you to design so you can make your Billboard shirts. Now, I should note that traditionally, when they first started hitting the market, these Billboard shirts, these spirit jerseys, were puff in the transfer type, the type of application. The ink was actually puff. Now, it's kind of funny because normally we wouldn't recommend doing a puff transfer in such a large surface area, because when you do puff on a large surface area, you kind of lose the point. But for whatever reason, this is the trend that's emerged, and people were originally doing these as the whole big line of text was puffed up. We can offer that to you, of course, or you can not do that. You don't have to do puff. You can do flat ink, of course, since there is the small upcharge for the puff ink. But either way, this is definitely one of those trends that has caught on quite strongly. To get into a couple more little tips here, these are the 4 layouts that we have developed for the Billboard shirts. The whole idea is the arched line of text that goes across the back. That's the most important thing. You want that arched line of text to be big. We acknowledge, though, that, of course, there's a little bit of room underneath that arched line of text, so you can certainly fit a line of text like ball. You can fit the little capsule shape with the word football, or maybe just a piece of clip art like the megaphone there. These layouts make it easy for ordering, whether you do these layouts over the phone with one of the customer service reps, or if you want to do it online, or Easy View Online Designer, either way. My suggestion here is this. The size of your platen, I'm hoping everybody out there has got one of the 16 by 20 machines, and you've got the 16 by 20 platen there. The whole idea, I would certainly suggest keeping this easy for yourself, and don't go any larger than 20 inches wide. Now, there are some of the shirts that do get, like I said, quite large and start going down sleeves and that kind of thing. Is this doable? It certainly is. It would take multiple applications, though, because, again, your press is 16 by 20. So if your transfer is going to be 28 inches wide, it is doable, but you're going to have to engineer it with 2 presses. And it's not that it's impossible. It can get a little bit difficult, and it becomes more of a project. If you're looking for a quicker way to capitalize on this trend, keep it 20 inches wide, or basically the size of your platen for the easiest application. So the Billboard shirt's definitely one of those things that have caught on, and again, I think it's funny that all of the girls in our customer service department uh, definitely own at least one of them. You see them all the time, so one of those things that's not going away quite yet. Another interesting fashion trend is faux pockets. Faux pockets, and this is one of those things I know some of us are probably looking at this going, "What, really?" But lo and behold, I've seen a bunch of these out there. It's the younger generation that's into it. The faux pockets are just a cute way of making a hard size design where the pocket should be on an otherwise pocketless shirt. But the catch is you put something neat on it. For example, you got the BHS with the tiger stripes there, or you got badgers, or you do something funny like fries. You put fries and then stick the clip art there, and now it looks like you got a pocket full of fries. Um, we do have a piece of clip art to associate with the pocket. It's X17A-381. So we would encourage you to go hit Easy View, go mess with the clip art, put together the funniest pocket you can do. The other brilliant thing about this pocket concept, what's actually kind of funny for us is in terms of the decorators, obviously they're small. We're talking maybe 3.5 by 3.5, 4 by 4, something in that general range. You can fit a bunch of these on a sheet of paper. If you do a 3.5 by 3.5 size pocket, you can fit 9 of them on a sheet here at Transfer Express. If you do 4 by 4, 4 inches by 4 inches, you can fit 6 of them on a sheet. So you can save a whole bunch of cash. You can do a lot of these for a really cost-effective price just because of gang sheeting them, being able to fit a lot on a sheet like that. But if you're interested in hearing a lot about gang sheeting, then last month's webinar, we talked a lot about gang sheeting. So definitely check out the recording of last month. But either way, the point is, this is a real neat idea. It's something that the kids like. It's something that we're seeing in the younger audience, and it's a neat way to get it out there. You could go as high as the college age kids if you were going to capitalize on the whole fraternity concept too. For those of you Greek shops who are out there, I know you're there. We've always got 1 or 2 of you guys in the audience every month. This is a neat way to capitalize with the Greeks too, because you can do the frat or sorority letters instead of the whole BHS idea like you see there. So definitely some fun directions you can go with this particular trend. This is one of those fashion trends that just isn't going away, and it's funny because it will die down a little bit and then pick back up and die down and pick back up. But patterns have been consistent over the last couple of years. Actually, I can honestly say though, in 2014, we sold so much of that chevron pattern you see on the left side there. For whatever reason, the pattern of choice that everybody wanted, it wasn't leopard spots or tiger stripes or paisley, it was this chevron. So the zigzag chevron lines, that was the most popular pattern in 2014. Everybody loved it. We sold the heck out of it. So the chevron is definitely one of the patterns to make use of somewhere. For whatever reason, the kids like it. It's popular with the girls, the spirit wear, the cheerleading, the dance stuff. In addition to that, our marketing department has predicted that in 2015 that plaid is going to make a comeback. It is time. We do see this happen from time to time. Every couple of years or so, plaid will come back into trend. Plaid is one of the patterns we can definitely offer you. The idea is you tell us what colors you're using, and then we'll mix it into the plaid in some kind of way that makes it look good. So you can have as much control or as little control over how the plaid ends up working out as you want. If you're one of those people that wants to really control the way the plaid looks, one way to go about doing it is on Easy View, using our Easy View online designer. You can break it up and you can do what you want with the plaid pattern. Otherwise, you can also call us up and you can describe to us over the phone what you're looking for. The reps can always explain that to the graphic. But plaid is coming back in 2015, so watch for that trend. Patterns in general, it's safe to say, are going to continue to be something that is hot throughout 2015. Not necessarily every pattern under the sun, perhaps, but there's always going to be the ones that are super popular. The chevron, the plaid, the polka dots are another super popular one. The tiger stripes are another very popular pattern. So watch for those. And as I said, if you haven't messed with them too much yet, if you haven't gotten a chance to play with the patterns, do hit Easy View and mess with them. You'll see there's a lot of possibilities. And I should throw out there that it doesn't cost you any extra to use a pattern in a design. Now, if you choose to make that pattern a whole bunch of colors, Obviously, the colors affects the price, but just using a pattern by itself, that doesn't cost you any money when you're just patterned into a design. So just throwing that out there. Now, this is a neat one. This is one of those that I was not familiar with when they started selling these, probably about 6-7 years ago, I think, maybe a little bit longer. You see these every now and then. They're called slub tees. Now, a slub tee, slub, the word, refers to thread during the weaving process. So basically what happens is a slub t-shirt or sweatshirt or whenever you see the word slub attached to a shirt, it's referring to a shirt that's textured, generally on the inside of the shirt. The colors have sort of a heathered effect. If we're all familiar with heather or athletic heather, the color. Slub has that same sort of effect. It has a heathered look, and there's usually some kind of texture to the inside of the shirt. Now, that being said, they're also very soft, and the trend with the girls right now is to wear the oversized slub stuff. As you see the girls on the right-hand side there, that whole it reminds me a little bit of Flashdance, maybe Jennifer Beals, the whole shirt that's got the collar that's way too big. Anyway, the whole point is the trend has come back, and kids do like the slub stuff. They do like the very soft garments, and they do like the look of them. As you can see, the style that we have on the right-hand side there, it's as simple as just the softer shirt with the really bold stitching, the bold colors. So you've got the bright blue shirt, but you've got the dark, bold blue stitching that's set to the side. So these types of things are very popular with the kids these days. We're talking high school, junior high, college level. They enjoy the feel of it. They enjoy the comfortability of it. And we have some tips for you here, too. If you're going to take advantage of the slub trend and you're going to go for some slub shirts. Now, actually, before I even explain this slide, I should mention the slub shirts can be found at a lot of the different wholesalers out there in the industry, whether we're talking about the big wholesalers or the small wholesalers. A couple years ago, I would have told you that there's only a couple out there that sell them, but these days I've seen the slub garments all over the place. So all you got to do is find the right wholesaler. I off the top of my head, do know that Alpha Broder has a great selection of them, but there's also Sanmar too. So there's a couple options for you to go with. Either way, if you decide to take advantage of the slub tee trend, we have some ideas here for you. Now, keep in mind that the slub tee is soft. It's light, and that's what people like about it. So that being said, you don't want to do a design or text or stuff. You don't want to do stuff that's heavy. You don't want to put a lot of ink on a slub tee. It's the same thing for the burnout tees that were super popular over the last year or so. The burnout tees were the same concept where you didn't want to put something heavy on them because they're supposed to be light. So what I've done here is on the left-hand side, I have layout QAL 467, and I've shown you how on the top there, you very well could do this really heavy design where you've got Comptonville at the top, and then you've got the sign that has eagles, and the sign is solid white, and you got the show-through details, and that's super heavy. That's a very heavy design because you've got all of that ink on the inside of that sign shape. You don't want to do that. That's going to kill the whole point of a slub shirt. So the bottom example where you've got the show-through sign and the show-through details and such, that's what you want to do. That's the better idea here. Same thing with fonts. At the top there of the right-hand side, you see Aardvark, I believe that is a heavy font choice, Aardvark. It's a great font, but when you're doing a slub tee, again, you don't want that big, chunky, heavy text. The whole point is to keep the printing light. So something like Ballroom Tango there, where you see a soft font choice, that's a much better idea. Solid text and outline text down underneath, another good example. You want to go with outline text whenever you can, because obviously outline text, you just got that thin outline. You don't have that solid chunk of ink. So if you are going to go the direction of these slub shirts, which are super popular right now, don't do heavy designs. Keep it soft, keep it show through, keep it thin fonts. Make sure you're leaving enough space so the shirt continues to be soft, continues to breathe, because that's what the kids like. So let's talk about some color trends. In 2015, they are predicting a trend that is referred to as en plein air. For those of you artists in the crowd, this is an art term coined in France about it refers to painting outdoors and using nature's colors on your canvas. They're predicting that spring 2015, this is going to be a trend in terms of colors in the fashion world. So softer colors, they're almost pastels, but not really. They're a little darker than pastels. And you'll notice they're all real nature-related colors. So what we've done here at Transfer Express is we're looking at these predicted color trends based on what the fashion industry is saying, and we do have similar colors. We have turquoise, midnight blue, tan, watermelon, Tennessee orange, medium brown, and cement, and that will match up with some of these colors here. Now, if you do decide to print a color that we do not have, that is totally acceptable. We can color match any color you'd like for $20, $20 color match fee. Now, if you do want us to match a color, the best way to go about it is for you to have the Pantone color, the Pantone number, rather, I apologize, for you to have the Pantone number. If you can relate the Pantone number to us, we can mix it without a problem. If you don't have a Pantone number, simply send us the color, whether you mail in a swatch or some other kind of a tidbit, a bit of ink or something, mail it in to us. We can scan it and match it exactly. So, but anyway, the point here is that the color trends starting spring 2015, the fashion industry is predicting this en plein air being the key set of colors here, the main color palette. So if you're going to jump on the trend and the theme, then these would be the colors to get into. And I can actually vouch for this right off the bat. We have seen a lot of orders coming through lately that are a lot of these brighter colors, the turquoise, the midnight blue. It's been a lot less royal blue, a lot less plain red than you're usually used to seeing. So people are definitely taking advantage of some of the off colors. That seems to be the idea this year. And to that effect, interesting little tidbit. For those of you who are not familiar, the Pantone Color Institute puts out a color of the year every year. And this color of the year affects not just our industry, but it affects the interior design industry. It affects anybody who works with colors. If you go to one of your local home supply stores today, you'll actually see in their paint department, you'll see a stand for the color of the year. And the color of the year for 2015 is called Marsala. Color is pictured on the shirt of the gentleman to the left there. That is Marsala. An interview with the person who's the head of the Pantone Color Institute, a lady named Lee Eisman, who's a very artistic woman. She described Marsala as an earthy wine color, named after the wine that is referred to as Marsala. So it's a deep red color. Our burgundy matches it almost exactly, as a matter of fact. It's kind of funny. Our burgundy is pretty darn close to this new color of the year. So according to the Pantone Color Institute, this is going to be the popular color this year. They're going with Marsala because it is a color that can be enjoyed by both men and women. It's sort of gender neutral for the most part. It's not pink, but it's not that blood red color. It's a great color to mix with browns. They associated Marsala with browns, with light blues, with a lot of sandy, earthy, natural colors. So actually, it's funny because this continues the en plein air concept that we talked about on the last slide. So these are the colors. These are the things that the industry is predicting to be big in 2015. So just something to keep in mind. So when you're looking for something new, you're looking for something fresh, or you're just trying to get the young kids to get in on something, you're trying to tap into the trends that the kids are into, this is what they're predicting for 2015. All right, so let's talk about sports. Enough with the colors, right? we don't want to hear about the Pantone Color Institute for the entire webinar, do we? So for those of you who are not familiar, the NBA did have some Christmas season, Christmas Day inspired uniforms where they took the player number and then put the first name of the player underneath the number. This was a capitalization on the easily identified players such as LeBron James, Cleveland's own. So this is definitely a really neat trend, and this is super easy to do. However you're going to go about doing it, this is not difficult. There are a couple different methods to replicating it, and it's definitely a switch up from what we're used to seeing. So That's a neat idea here. And of course, how often do we get a customer that wants to mix things up a little bit? You get that person that doesn't want to go traditional. They don't want it to look the same as it does every year. They want something different. They want something new. So the difference here in the NBA jerseys is definitely one direction to go. Now, on that same with the whole sports trends, the NFL division champion gear was very simple, as you can see on the left-hand side of this picture. You see the Steelers logo, and you see sort of a dotted background fade. Now, on the right-hand side, you see what we threw together on EasyView. Our EasyView program, we were able to put this design together in just a couple of seconds. If you wanted to adjust it or you wanted us to adjust it, not a problem. But this is literally the Middlefield Tigers there is something we threw together in just a couple minutes, just a minute on EasyView. So you see how the idea here is they're keeping it simple. We're not doing crazy graphics here. We're doing the team logo. We're doing a dotted yellow background. That's how it was handled by the NFL for the division champion gear this past year. So this is a neat this is another neat trend you could tap into. Now, you don't have to stick with the simplicity of the Middlefield Tigers. If you wanted to, what you could do, that yellow polka dot fade that we have there, you could copy and paste it and then flip it, just like you see the word champions on the right-hand side. You see some yellow dots behind the other side, the PIONS of champions. You could do the same thing in EasyView if you wanted to. It just take copy, paste, and some shrinking down of the polka dots. But point being, this is a theme that's easily replicated. And again, just to put this information out there, this is not copyright infringement because we're not trying to print a Steelers shirt. All we're doing is taking the fashion idea, the idea of how they've put the design together, and replicating that in our own way. So we've got some neat stuff from the NFL here. Let's talk more about the NBA. On the left-hand side, you see what the practice shirts look like for 2014 to 2015 season. The practice shirts do look pretty cool. Now, this is, again, with that whole trend of performance gear and all that. But more importantly, not going the garment route, just looking at the design itself, you've got a design that's very rectangular, super wide, very squat, and it's not much to it. We're talking about a rectangle with a logo smacked into the middle of it, and you can't get much easier than that. So Los Angeles basketball really turns into Mentor Cardinals, or you could have done Mentor basketball, or you could have done Cleveland basketball, or something to that effect. And again, the design on the right is just what we whipped together in our EasyView program in just a minute. It only took us a minute to put that all together. So again, my point being, if you spent a minute or two on some creativity, there's a lot of places you could go with this. This is a neat design, and what I think is really cool, and it's so courteous of the NBA to think of us in the printing industry, is that this design is very easily ganged up. This design, since it is so short and wide, you can very easily put two of them on a sheet without a problem. So definitely another good trend to go with, something else interesting to try and replicate. Here's a trend that never really goes away. This is always super popular, and we have made your life a little easier here at Transfer Express in this regard. This is mixed media. Now, mixed media refers to using more than one decorating method on the same garment. So here we've got a Stowe Gymnastics shirt. What we've done is we've done the screen printed transfers for Stowe Gymnastics and for the little capsule with the gymnast there. We've done screen printed ink, but then we've done rhinestones all around the capsule as well. So what you've got here is a really neat mixed media design. Now, we did both of these here at Transfer Express. For those of you who have not heard the news yet, we do offer custom rhinestones now at Transfer Express. So you send us your artwork or tell us what you want. We can make it for you without a problem. What's really interesting, though, is we will design the whole thing together for you. For example, this customer calls us up and tells us, hey, we're doing Stowe Gymnastics, and I want you guys to put this capsule shape with the gymnast in it, but then I want rhinestones going around the capsule shape. We'll design it so that the rhinestones will fit around it perfectly. So you get the transfers, the rhinestones all together. They're two separate applications, but they'll come shipped in the same box. You'll press the screen printed transfer first, peel the paper off, then you'll take the rhinestones that are on the clear plastic carrier and easily put them exactly where you need them to go, hit it, peel it, done. And here's the best part. You've heard me talk about this a couple times if you've ever joined me for these webinars, and I push this all the time because I want everyone to understand that when you add rhinestones to a design like this, you increase the value of this shirt by a lot. You can go onto places like eBay and Amazon.com, and you can find shirts being sold just like this one for $25 or more, just because you've mixed the screen print concept with rhinestones. The rhinestones add great value to a garment. So not only is mixed media super popular and it has been popular and it's only getting more popular, but it adds a lot of value to a shirt. So we also have these rhinestone ready layouts, and feel free to ask your customer service rep about these when you call in. We have these layouts that are actually made with rhinestones in mind. Like we were thinking that you could be putting rhinestones into this ball shape when this design was made. So that's the whole point. The rhinestone ready layouts allow you to get creative and use rhinestones without having to start from scratch, without having to come up with that gymnastics design in your head. So the rhinestone ready layouts are definitely another hot topic for 2015. We've seen a lot more of these being ordered recently as well. Speaking of trends, the printing trend onto polyester and wicking fabrics. This is one of those that we've talked about a whole bunch, and I'm going to put a couple different tidbits out there for you. So have your pencil and paper ready, or make sure to email us for a copy of the webinar here, or a copy of the slides, rather. Here's the catch. When you are printing onto the wicking materials and the performance materials, the first thing you're going to want to do is ask if it's polyester or spandex. That's the first thing we need to know. If you're doing polyester, like you see the people in the picture wearing, these are all polyester. If you're wearing poly, then our ElastiPrints works perfectly. It's not a high applying transfer. It is very conducive to the heat sensitive garments, and it stretches just fine. If you're using spandex, you are going to need to switch to the CAD Print Opaque or the CAD Print Sub Block. The spandex is obviously much more stretchy than the polyester. Spandex was designed to be stretchier, so it does have a lot more stretch to it, and the ElastiPrints are not going to have enough give to cooperate on a spandex garment. So the polyester, though, what's interesting about this, the reason we've made this slide all about the polyester wicking fabrics, is because this polyester performance wear concept is starting to make its way into regular garments. You are seeing garments these days that are being modeled after performance wear, or they're being made like performance wear. It could be just a t-shirt, but it's being engineered like performance wear, where it's got the polyester fibers. Now, what this means is that that garment is also heat sensitive, just like the wicking materials. Okay, so again, when you have something like this, that it's the polyester wicking or polyester performance wear, you're going to want to use the ElastiPrint transfers because they press at the lower temperature and they have enough stretch. If you're going to get into the sports world, where it's more about sporting and less about casual, because that's what we're seeing, is these wicking fabrics and these polyester performance wears are actually trading the casual wear part of our closets. To where spandex obviously is sticking more towards the sporting goods side of it. So if you do have a more sporting goods oriented garment and it is more the direction of spandex, then you're going to want to use, like I said, the CAD Print Opaque and the CAD Print Sub Block. And just to be clear here, the Sub Block is the option if you're worried about your spandex bleeding. So something I mentioned are, and I want to throw this, pop culture and current events. This is one of those things where our industry is unique in that we have the choice of reacting to current events. Now, it's not about agreeing with current events or having an opinion necessarily, but the idea is to capitalize on them. If there is a trend, if there's something happening in the media that has your particular neighborhood polarized, then that's something that people are going to want to identify. People are going to want to support. People are going to want to voice their opinions. For example, that I support police, the Sea of Blue there, that whole idea is we have this group of people that have this idea that they want to they're going to wear shirts, they're going to have shirts one way or another. By capitalizing on the current event, you can definitely drive your business up. And again, it's about just securing the order, and it's about securing the shirt business. Keep in mind that if you do these types of garments for the current events and such too, if you do get yourself out in the forefront of these current events, then also are generating customers in that when these current event people, when they need just plain old church shirts or they need family reunion shirts, they're going to come to you because they got the spur of the moment shirts from you. Or, of course, the whole pop culture thing. Jurassic Park. I'm sure everyone saw the trailer for the new Jurassic Park movie that's coming out. So you can take that and you can definitely work with that. At the bottom of the left-hand side there, you see our Easy View page where we totally took that Jurassic Park concept and whipped it into a high school reunion theme. Definitely very neat. So you can definitely work with pop culture references. You can work with current events, and we encourage you to do that. If you keep yourselves hip and you keep yourselves into what's current, that definitely is nothing but a business gain for you. And what this does is it brings people into your shop. It brings people into noticing you more. And again, like I said, it will drive up business in other ways too. So to accomplish this, all you really need to do is watch the news and hit Pinterest, hit Google. I like to hit Facebook too. Facebook is another great place where definitely everybody has those friends that like to comment on the current events and such. And remember, it's not about necessarily the opinion. It's not about what's being expressed per se. The whole point is to get your shirt business out there and to be making the garments that the people are requesting. Whew, okay. That was a lot of trend information. That was a lot of fun information. I hope everybody enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please feel free to hit us up via email, via phone. I've encouraged everybody in the past, make sure to hit our blog at transferexpress.com. Our marketing department does a great job of putting all the information that we've talked about today. All this information ends up on the blog one way or another. So definitely hit our blog at transferexpress.com. If you have any types of webinars you'd like to see us do, please email us. We love the suggestions we get from you guys on webinar topics. Tell us what you want to be catered on. I would love to cater. We'll definitely cater to you if you tell us what you want to see. So speaking of which, the next webinar will be February the 12th, and the topic will be what's new in baseball uniform printing. It is scary to think that baseball season is coming, but then again, with the weather the way it is here, I'm going to keep hoping that baseball's coming because that means a warm-up, and we definitely need a warm-up with the 7-degree temperature here in Mentor. So anyway, what's new in baseball uniform printing? Thursday, February 12th, join me, Andy Curtis. I will be here with you at 2 o'clock to talk about the new trends in baseball uniforms. So I hope everybody enjoyed the webinar. I hope this was useful for everybody. It was definitely an eclectic bunch of information, a lot of really neat stuff. So if nothing else, ideas. That's the whole point, is just to give you guys ideas and help you figure out what's the new thing to try in your shop. So I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your Thursday and enjoy the weather wherever you're at. Thanks, everybody.